take it away.
Awesome. Good evening, everyone. I'm Molly, the Kush RN, and tonight we have an incredible guest, Michael Ford. Welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Conversations with Kush podcast. Just to introduce Michael, if you are not familiar with his body of work, it's number one, incredible. He is an activist and community organizer, always searching for social, economic, and racial justice through cannabis. He is the executive director of Minnesota NORML. He is the owner and operator of Canna Fativa, and he is also an events coordinator and community connector through Minnesota Marijuana. So welcome to the show, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. I don't know if you know this, but you are the first person that I met in the cannabis industry.
How was that?
Well, I found you through Minnesota Marijuana, and Loud on the River was the first event that I ever went to.
It's one of the good ones.
Yeah, it's so fun every year. It's like a must not miss event.
So question, were we on the paddle boat or on the yacht?
We were on the yacht.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was like 2019 or 18 when I came in. But do you remember this? I fucking fainted on the boat. Oh. I was so hot that day.
Did my brother help you?
Yes. And he's like, what did you take, ma'am? And I'm like, I swear to God, I only had an edible.
Yeah, I remember that. My brother Sean was there. You know?
Yeah. So saved me. So yeah, that was great. Also, I really love Loud on Lake Street. I think that is every year a very healthy community get together where people can just come down. It's always good vibes. I've never felt unsafe. I love it. I love the way you can bring people together and just join community. It's incredible.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. So we've done that for 2 years in a row now. We're hoping to do it again this year.
Yeah, I always really look forward to your events. In fact, I have also been enjoying Jokes and Joints at Pot Shots.
So we did a couple there. We haven't done them recently.
Okay, yeah, I noticed that. They are really fun. I encourage that a lot because I had a really good time both times I went. I love the drinks. I think the comedians are really good. I love to see people brand new that are coming on and like honing their craft, and then you see like a professional person that gets on there and they're just like roasting everyone.
Elliot's crazy.
So really, really great job with that, Michael. I appreciate that. I always talk to people about their relationship with cannabis. So tell me about yours. How did you start?
So really, I've always smoked cannabis basically my whole life.
Okay.
I used to provide medicine for my friends and family and stuff. And then I kind of started building a social media network. I got kind of popular going around all the events and just give out free weed and hand out cards and stuff. And just kind of wanted to do something more, And then started working on actually changing the laws.
Yeah.
So that was a big transition because I had to change a lot of things that I was doing before I decided to, kind of get in the limelight with the legalization stuff. And it actually started with Minnesota NORML.
Okay.
Which ironically came to one of their events, went to another event at the convention center, started learning a little bit about legalization, and then just got deeper and deeper. It just kept going from there. Actually, that's wrong. It didn't start with NORML. It actually started with Oliver Steinberg and Dan Vacek.
Okay.
Legal Marijuana Now, Grassroots Cannabis. Went out to event 420 my first year, 2015. I printed 420 shirts.
Nice.
Asked NORML to sponsor me.
Nice.
They turned me down.
Oh, okay.
They was like, nah, we're not going to do that. And I was like, I'm just going to give them away to the community. So I searched around. I asked a bunch of shops and stuff if they'd help me.
Yeah.
Got a couple of people to help me print shirts, and we went out to the Capitol, gave them out for free. And then the remainders I took to Grand Old Day, and I was kind of pulling the cart around Grand Old Day. ran into Ollie and those guys out there. And they
Nice.
were like, yeah, you should help us do the reefer refund. And so then I started working with Legal Marijuana Now. And
Okay.
then from there, I also started working with NORML. So
Okay.
it was pretty, they kind of threw me into the space. I think they needed help.
They needed young blood, I think.
Yeah, they needed help. I remember going to the first grassroots meeting or Legal Marijuana Now meeting, and it was Ollie, Dan, Marty, and I think it was Layla.
Okay.
There was only 4 of them.
The only other person I know besides Ollie is Tom Gallagher.
So
Yeah.
Tom is the attorney, and he's
Right.
also on our board of directors for Minnesota NORML. He's been one of the original Minnesota NORML board members. He's been there since basically the inception.
Yeah, and Curtis Hanna, I guess, was on that original board.
Curtis Hanna was there as well. So it was originally Kurt Hanna and Randy Quast and Pat Bradley, and they're all still around now too.
Yeah.
So I just messaged Randy today.
Nice.
Actually.
Awesome. Let's get back to the cannabis use a little bit. How do you like to consume your cannabis? Are you a smoker mostly? Do you use topicals?
Flower.
Flower. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. I don't like any of the dabs or vapes and stuff. I mean, I try them, but I prefer the old school way, roller joint. I don't really like the blunts and stuff because I'm not a cigarette smoker.
Right.
So, yeah, mainly when I do smoke, it's just old-fashioned flower,
Yeah, I like that. Do you have any specific strains that you like? What are you kind of leaning towards? Does it depend?
I like sour diesel.
Okay.
I prefer sativas over the indicas because I'm more active. So.
Me too. Yeah. It keeps me going, I feel like, and it really helps with my creativity. I kind of struggle with that sometimes, but that always helps me really tap in. So.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that weed does help with my creativity, but it makes me think.
Yeah.
Overthink. So I think it helps the creativity in the beginning for me, but then it kind of stuns it for a second because I spend too much time thinking instead of actually doing the stuff I'm doing. I know everybody's different, but that's what I've noticed for me.
I can relate to that a little bit, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, even my graphic design and stuff like that. I'll just get stuck. It's my brain freezes up. Well, initially I'm all excited, oh, let's do this. And then I just get stuck. So
yeah.
Sativas are better for me when I'm in the gym.
Sure.
Because that's my favorite time to use cannabis.
Do you is that a morning routine then? You wake up, you smoke, you go to the gym?
I wake up, I deal with kids.
Sure.
Drop kids off at school, and then I go to the gym and I smoke literally right before I go in the gym. Hopefully I don't smell too bad when I normally go in there, but...
Oh, well.
Yeah. But yeah, I smoke literally right before I walk in the gym, and it kind of gives me that extra fire. I haven't been smoking the last few days.
Yeah.
And I definitely notice the difference, in my focus and...
Talk about that.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Tell me first of all, why you're not smoking. I would really love to hear more about that and how you feel the differences. So
right now I'm not smoking because normally, as you know, for the last few years, we've been going to the Capitol on the steps during the month of April from the 1st through the 20th, and we smoke at 420 on the steps 20 days in a row. Okay. This year I wanted to try something different now that it's legal in Minnesota. What I notice is when we go to the Capitol, people are already smoking at 420. It's not like we wait till 420 and then everybody lights up. It's just 420 comes and we just all yell 420 and just keep smoking.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to do something that actually, different than what we would normally do. That would actually have an impact. So now I'm personally not smoking for 20 days in solidarity with those that have been locked up, that have lost family members, those that are in jail now, that have been negatively impacted by cannabis prohibition. So I'm taking a hiatus, I guess. So,
tea break.
Yeah, well, call it a tea break. So I'm not going to smoke for 20 days, and then I'm encouraging people to come to the Capitol with me and smoke on the steps if you smoke. I know everybody can't just stop smoking. That takes a lot of inner strength if it's something that you do consistently.
And it's some people's medicine, right? I mean, that's how they consider it.
Exactly. So. But I'm encouraging people to come to the Capitol and actually just put the joint out at 420.
Okay.
So then it's actually, we're doing something besides just continuing to smoke. So then at 420, we've been just going to the Capitol. The people that smoke are smoking, and at 420, we're all just putting out the joint and taking pictures of them dabbing their joints out, and solidarity.
Yeah.
So,
Have you been getting good support?
yeah, I get a couple people showing up.
Okay, good.
You know, even when we are smoking at the Capitol in the beginning, the first few days, it's a little rough. We'll get 1 or 2 people, consistently. And then as we get closer to 420, more and more people start to show up. So
Have any of the lawmakers come out to support you?
No, nope, no.
Oh.
Haven't seen any. Maybe they were walking out of the building, leaving work or something, but they haven't come down to do nothing.
Has anyone harassed you at all?
No.
Good.
Even when we were smoking prior to this, the security, they don't mess with us. They drive by, they wave, they say hi.
Sure.
Like, they're really nice at the Capitol. Nobody really bothers
You're
us.
not really violating the Clean Indoor Air Act, though, right? I mean, that's the only real law right now as far as smoking cannabis, I believe. So.
Yeah, but even before that, like, nobody really cares.
Yeah, sure.
Like, you think that people would be like, oh, even somebody came today was like, oh, there's the Capitol security. I'm like, I don't worry about them. They don't care about us.
Sure.
We're just up here hanging out. So.
Yeah. So tell me the difference then and what you felt with the tea break.
Well, for me, like I said, today is day 4. Mm-hmm. So it's it's a little stressful. Sleep is a little rough because I smoke before the gym and then I smoke in the evening after all my kids and stuff are done. And it kind of helps me to kind of relax and get some sleep. So yeah, sleep is a little rough in addition to having a newborn. All of that compounded, it's a little rough.
Sure.
The gym, like I said, the loss of focus, like I can go in there and turn my music on, but it's just not the same. Yeah. It's not the same feeling. You don't got that same mind-muscle connection that you get when you're using cannabis. Sure. And the body actually produces those same highs when you're working out naturally.
Absolutely, anandamide.
Yeah. But yeah, just not feeling it. I mean, it's going to be a long 20 days. Yeah, you can do it. Yeah, you have incredible fortitude, first of all. So I believe in you. Yeah, I have to. Yeah. I've been posting pictures every day. They were like, hey, did you quit? So, you got all these people holding you accountable now, right? Yep. And then we got people that are putting the joints out too. So, it's it helps to kind of make it a little easier to have the extra support and stuff. So, do you grow your own? Actually, I don't, but I do now. Okay. I just started recently growing the legal limit, so we can have 8 plants. So I grew 4. Okay. Half of the legal limit. It's going pretty good. I actually have a friend. His name is JR. He's got a company, Kush Constrictors. He also owns St. Paul Tattoo. Okay. Shameless plug there. Nice. But, plug him up. But he kind of started. He coached me into growing. He's a really good grower. Started a couple plants from seed and yeah, they're beautiful. Your babies, I bet, right? Yeah. I look at them every day. I go up there, I look at the leaves and it's kind of fun. Do you have them in a tent and time lights and all that? Actually, I do. I've got AC Infinity and they've got the sensor so it monitors the heat and the humidity and lights and everything are all on a timer. I was actually doing that prior to coming here. Okay. I had to take a couple of my tents down and put a bigger one because they're growing kind of big. Okay. Is that what you meant by taking care of the children before you came down? Well, yeah, that too. That too. But yeah, so it's definitely been a great experience. It's not as hard as you would think it would be. Okay, cool. So plants are doing pretty good. I've tried to pop a couple of seeds and then I had to go away for some time and the seeds just kind of died out. But I might give it another run. I mean, why not? It's legal, so I mean, why not? Why not? That's like we did all of this fighting. We've been fighting for decades and decades to get it legal, and now we have the right to actually grow at home. Yeah. I feel like anybody that has the ability to should at least try it. Yeah. That's one of the things I've talked about on a different podcast with other people is that actually that economic piece, right? I mean, it might not always be possible for people to be able to do that. Do you feel like there's been a big cost incurred or do you feel like this is pretty feasible for like the average person or as far as to grow your own? Yeah. I guess we'll see when that electric bill comes. Yeah. I guess that's the big thing there, the electric and the water that you use. I guess we'll find out. But for now, it's going pretty good. How many days till harvest? I have no idea.
It's
So
45, isn't it?
is it?
Usually?
I don't know.
I think so.
I'm literally a brand new grower.
Yeah.
I've got like I said, JR is coaching me.
Good.
I call him on the phone every single day in the morning on Facebook on the video.
Nice.
I go over the plants and look at them. So I'm using cocoa right now.
Okay.
So I'm not growing in soil.
Okay.
So I feed them nutrients, alternate one day nutrients, the next day water and cow mag, just to keep them all, at the levels.
Yep.
But I haven't even experienced the flowering stage yet.
Okay, gotcha.
So we put the bigger tin up today so I can flip them.
Okay. There's a time when you come to having to top them too, which I'm always like, oh my God, why would you cut their heads off?
Yeah. So we topped them when they were kind of young.
Okay, gotcha.
And then I've got some smaller ones. I'll probably keep topping those and keep those in the regular tent and let the other bigger ones grow.
Okay.
But yeah, he actually came over and defoliated them.
Okay. It's hard to see that, isn't it?
Oh, so when he came in the room, he was like, yeah, I'm just going to trim them up a little bit. I ran downstairs to get some tape so we could mark which clones came from which plants.
Okay.
By the time I came back upstairs, I was devastated.
Yeah.
It was devastating. It's like he chopped my plants all up. He was like, this is what you have to do. Otherwise, blah, blah, blah. I don't know the science behind it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first experience because I'd grown them, from seeds and seen them bloom and see them get all big with nice leaves and they're nice and green and the color is great. And I'm taking pictures of them every day and posting them. And yeah, he chopped them up.
What a sense of pride, though. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
I really am excited for these legacy people, too, that can come in and really teach people this craft. I think that's going to be one outlet where people can, make an impact or create a business or whatever that may be for them. So.
Well, that's another thing. Can you create a business? The way it's kind of setting up in Minnesota, I'm a little nervous.
Tell me more about that.
Well, I mean, small businesses in comparison to the bigger companies that are coming in, it's going to be rough.
I agree.
It's going to be really rough. And then the whole process for how licenses are going to be given now, I guess we're switching to a lottery.
Well, it's been proposed, and I don't think it's been completely voted through yet. But
I
yes,
hope it doesn't.
Yeah, me too. I feel like, well, Gabe, if we could maybe pivot to that video.
Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking.
You.
Perfect time
Let's
to
show a little video.
Here we go.
Okay.
Let's see what we got here.
Let's see what we got.
That is Michael Ford, who is the owner of Cannafativa Company.
Thank you, Nikema. My name is Michael Ford. I'm a community organizer and activist that has been in the space for more than a decade, fighting for social, racial, and economical justice in the cannabis space. I'm here today because I want to talk about the social equity provisions in the bill. Though there have been tremendous amendments to the bill, and I do want to add before I go on to that, the work that has been done on this bill has been exceptional. The people that have been pushing the bill have done a lot of work, and they worked really hard to make sure that we can get this legislation passed. And there's a lot of great things in the bill, but there are some things that we would like to see change. By no means do we not want to see the bill pass, but we would like to see the legislators take our issues seriously and actually consider these when they take this bill to conference committee. The social equity portion, as stated right now, as a minority business owner, I would not qualify as a social equity applicant if I haven't been convicted of a cannabis offense or if I don't live in an impacted community anymore. I don't feel like that's right for any social equity applicant. I also feel that the bill does not reach far enough to make sure that they repair the damages that has been caused to disproportionately impacted people, not communities, because the bill does say there's opportunities for disproportionately impacted communities, but the people in those communities are the ones that actually need access to the legalization in Minnesota.
Thank you, Gabe. So that video was from last year, Michael. You've been raising this flag for a whole year. That happened right before it passed. And I think that you were one of just a few people that were saying, hey, Democrats, you got in, you promised us this bill, you made all these promises about social equity and about how the small mom and pops were going to be, standing up the industry, and you're not coming through. So, yeah, where are we at now?
Yeah, that's kind of a rough one for me. It's cool to actually watch that video because I haven't really watched it since I shared it a year ago.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of a rough time.
Sure.
For me to be able to do that press release and to come out there and bring everybody out to say that we had issues with the bill. And like I said, we didn't say the bill was a bad bill. We just said we had things we had to address. I actually got attacked personally on my social media by a lot of the activists that were actually helping out with that bill.
I remember.
And it was kind of devastating. It kind of pushed me out of the legalization movement personally. I took a big step back, and kind of tried to reassess what I was doing. 1 year later, I got a lot of those same people who are like, dang, sorry, Michael, we should have listened.
Yeah, right. And that was kind of my takeaway at the time. I'm like, he's right, guys.
Yeah.
Like, yes, we're going to have legal marijuana, but they did make promises and decriminalizing and making sure that there's restorative justice and making sure that social equity is happening and that small businesses are going to be able to uphold this industry. Those are pretty crucial components of the bill that are being swept under, and please just hear what he has to say at least.
Yeah, they were just so excited to see the bill pass. They wanted their version to go the way it was. And social equity, I say this all the time, it's a unicorn. State after state, it doesn't work. There's no way to actually effectively do social equity. So when I hear people say, oh, we're going to do social equity, they're just trying to pull at your heartstrings because there's no way legally that they can put it in the bill that those people will get access because they'll get sued.
Too many lawsuits, right?
And then the bill will be hung up, then nobody will get licenses. So when they say it, you kind of know, okay, they're shooting the bullshit. So what can we do to actually make sure that, what we're asking for is going to be,
There's got to be a way, though, right?
Yeah.
How is that done? Is that going to be done through rulemaking? Is that going to be done by the OCM?
Yeah, well, we were hoping that the OCM would be able to help with those pieces of it. And it sounds like, they're doing what they can to kind of see social equity. But what I'm seeing is, especially with the idea of a lottery, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
We had a lottery for the medical cannabis company, if you remember that. That was 2014. And I know quite a few people that applied for licenses. One of my good friends who's actually growing for a dispensary now, he's the COO. And he actually paid that money for a license and didn't get the license, but all that money is gone.
Right.
You don't get your money back.
Right.
And then he actually went to work for one of the companies that did get a license and was with the union and found out that, the people that they gave the license to, they already had them picked out before they even took all those people's money.
Right. And it's corporate cannabis, so it's all irradiated and, I don't know. I just don't think it's the greatest product out there.
Right.
I would love to see, I don't know how much you know about the caregivers program. I would love to see growers be able to grow cannabis that actually fits, that's a strain that actually fits what a patient needs.
Right.
I have, some other minor issues with the caregivers thing overall, but I think in general, that's what we need. We need people to be able to give their ability to someone to grow for them that is the cannabis that they actually need.
Right.
And I would love to see our market be able to support that. So I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I'm here for it.
Hopefully.
Can I break in and ask a quick question here, Molly?
Sure.
So he alluded to that. I think that's one of the least shocking things, right? That there was some BS there as far as they had pre-selected. Do you have any feeling for how that was done? Did people get bribed, do you think? Or were they just giving it to whoever has the most money or experience? Or how would you see that going down?
I really can't say. I can't really say.
Okay.
My friend could probably give me the details all the way in, and I know he tries to shed some light on it, but then he kind of stays in the shadows a little bit because it was a big issue and the feds got involved in everything as well.
Is it your friend Jeff Brinkman?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not Jeff. Jeff Brinkman is also a good friend who's done a lot of digging.
Yes, he is.
And
he's an incredible person also. I think that he's really for the plant and he cares about this market also.
Yeah, and he's a small business, and
Absolutely.
he's concerned, as most small businesses in Minnesota should be, when there's large corporations coming into Minnesota,
Right.
obviously we can't stop them. But when the state is supporting them, and then they've got compacts where these companies can partner up with native tribes,
Exactly.
and then they've got unlimited cap, and then the price drops. So how do these businesses actually survive? Now, what if you're a small business owner like myself and you want to apply for a license, and they've got a lottery, and I don't have enough money to really apply for the license, but I throw my money in the ring, and then they already got the people they want picked.
Right.
You know, it's hard. It's kind of hard to trust when we've seen it's not like we're just making this up. Like, we're seeing this has happened over and over again
In other markets.
not only in other markets, here in Minnesota.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you follow the rules and you just play along and cross your fingers and hopefully somebody's like, hey, give them guys a shot? Or do you, protest?
Right. Right.
That's the only other thing
protest.
that's the only
can
other
do
thing you
that.
can do.
You
protest.
can lobby, you can protest,
Yeah.
all the things, right? Yeah, I'm a little bit worried about the big MSO coming into the Native American, that big grow that they're doing. That's like 50,000 square feet or whatever it
relax.
is. Yeah.
Can you guys speak on that? Because I've never heard that. Even the acronym you use, I don't know what that is.
An MSO is a
Yeah.
multi-state operation.
Okay.
I don't really know too much about it other than they're coming in and that they're going to be, there's a bill going through now that says they can sell, the Native American people can sell off of the reservation, I believe.
Yep.
And they're going to have this big grow there, but it's like, and they're going to be able to supply all of the medical cannabis. And I'm like, that cannabis is crappy. Like,
So it's going to wipe
nobody
out
wants that.
all the mom and pop.
It's definitely,
dealers.
it's going to wipe out all the small businesses before they even get a shot to even get up. Like,
Right.
if you think about starting a small business here, even if you're not going for the mezzo license, if you're going for the micro business, the cost for your security plan, for your grow plan, for your, setup for your operation, for the facility, for taxes on top of that, the price that you're going to have to put your cannabis at is going to be so much that you're not going to be able to compete with these large corporations. It's
Right.
basically, you're going to apply for a license, you're going to get a business started, and then you're going to go out of business.
Yeah.
And then what happens, it's not like a regular LLC type of business. This is a type of business where you're going to be personally held responsible. So they're going
Right.
to come at you personally, they'll come at your home, anything that you own. So
Right.
it's a little scary, I think it's scary.
Wow.
I do too. And I feel like we're already seeing kind of ripple effects. I've seen several women owned businesses, sadly, have to close their doors in the last couple of months. And it just kind of breaks my heart a little bit. These people that I've known for several years since I came in to the industry and knowing about the industry are now kind of shuttering their doors. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart,
And a majority of those are CBD.
Right.
Like, this isn't even marijuana.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that, some of the medical cannabis and some of the bills that they've been passing targeting, CBD and hemp derived products. Like, if it's not marijuana, I don't think it should be categorized as marijuana if
Right.
it came from a hemp plant.
Right. We already have the farm bill. So
Yep.
yeah. And some of those minor cannabinoids that they're talking about are really beneficial to patients and they're non-euphoric. So that's an easy gateway for them to be like, yes, cannabis is my medicine. I'm going to try these other minor cannabinoids and I don't have to worry about being high,
Right.
but I can still get relief for, this, that, and the other thing. So yeah.
And even with hemp, like, so Cannafativa, it's
Yeah.
about health and wellness. And I originally started that because I wanted to kind of start getting into the cannabis space. And I started with like CBD oils, salves, tinctures and stuff, hoping that I could eventually one day transition into the legal market of, with marijuana.
Sure.
But when they're making it so hard for you to actually get access to the industry, even with hemp and CBD, it makes it almost impossible to get into the legal marijuana market. And then another issue I have with like just hemp alone, we're talking about social equity. We're talking about the people impacted by cannabis prohibition. People with felonies cannot grow hemp.
I didn't know that.
You can't get a hemp license in Minnesota with a felony.
Okay.
So I can grow marijuana in my house, but I can't get a hemp license.
Yeah, there's a real disconnect, I think. There is.
That doesn't make sense, you
Yeah.
know. So
And I always want to be like, okay, well, the OCM's going to fix everything. But man, it's really hard to put your trust into these agencies when there's already, like, they're already under scrutiny. First of all, like, you've fired the first two people. You don't have a real director yet. Like,
right.
you know, you fumbled the good candidate. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And then you got to think even like, so I'm the executive director of NORML. I've been
Yeah.
there for almost 10 years. We've went through a lot. We've had a lot of people come and go. We've had people try to attack us, try to shut us down. We got reported to the attorney general, so we had to got audited, had to submit all of our paperwork. Like, but we're still here because we do everything the way we're supposed to be doing it. But just from that experience, thinking about what the OCM is going through right now, trying to organize all of that, trying to create a whole new statewide program in such a short window, it's impossible.
Yeah.
For them to get that right. I know somebody asked me if I would apply for any positions there. No, I would never. Like they're under so much, like you said, they're under so much scrutiny and they have so much to do and they have to pack it all into this little package. Like it's impossible.
Well, and I don't know one name on that board that's already like in place. I mean, I know who they are now because I've like looked them up, but like these people aren't coming from Minnesota. Like, why aren't we implementing our own people here that care about
It's a good
consumers
question.
and the medical patients?
It's a
And
good question. I know Clem Dabney was an option at some point. I'm not sure what happened there. I know he would have been a great person to be in that position. 'Cause
Absolutely.
He's social equity. He's been in the marijuana space for the cannabis space. I don't know. Everybody uses different words, but
Yeah.
the cannabis space for a long time. He was working at the U of M in the horticulture department. He was
Right.
teaching hemp and all of that. Dude's got tremendous experience.
Absolutely.
I also got to sit with him on the board of directors for the Minnesota Cannabis College when they first started it out. The dude is extremely knowledgeable, and I feel like he would have been a great candidate for that. And I'm not sure what happened, but we need people like that in those positions that actually have ties to Minnesota, that understand what Minnesotans need. You know,
Right.
they're going to make sure that, you know, we
And
get the job done right.
and is invested in the community. I mean, this guy was going around like teaching kids in the city like how to grow
Yep.
gardens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like just like basic human level things.
But I think they're just looking for more people that are more like puppets
Yeah.
that they can kind of control, and, you
Yeah.
know, and it sucks, you know.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. And it makes you feel a little hopeless.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of time for them to get this work done.
We don't.
No,
And
and
and I feel like, you know, so many other markets have failed. And so we have this really great opportunity to like do it right. And we still have yet to execute that.
Yeah. Well, they're still trying. Like I said, I always give credit when the credit is due.
Yeah.
They are trying. And it's going to be a hell of a job.
Yes.
Like I can't imagine that it's easy on them. I do have concerns about, you know, the people that are influencing their decisions. You know, I'm not going to say names,
Yeah.
but, you know, hopefully they can get it right.
Yeah.
So
Do we have any allies, guys, politically? I'm sorry, you guys have me riveted. I just have to ask this. If you want to do something, like, I mean, are there any allies in the Minnesota State Senate or House, or, you know, is there truly nothing that can be done at this point?
oh, there's definitely things that can be done. And I'm sure if we searched out allies, we would be able to find them. But I'm just concerned right now that a lot of the people that are allies with these legislators, that have the legislators' ears, that listen to them, are people that, you know, don't share the same vision that we have. And if we come with a different vision outside of what's set already, you know, we're going to look like we're trying to do what I did last year. We're trying to kill the bill. We're trying to ruin legalization. You know, we're
Right.
the enemy. And that's kind of the pushback that I've gotten in the cannabis space. You know, when we come to legislators with anything other than what the agenda is, you know, it's frowned upon.
Right.
It's,
And we're the stakeholders. Aren't we the ones that are supposed to be giving the input? That's how government works.
yeah, it
It's
is.
supposed to anyway.
So the question is, do we have allies? I think that's a great question. I think that's
Yeah.
I really can't say.
I think we need to create them and we just need to keep lobbying and being like, hey, this really matters to me. You know, it's your job to represent me now in front of the rest of those senators or representatives and
Right.
lawmakers.
Right.
So,
And it's going to take a lot of organization.
yeah.
Obviously, our organization has been doing the work for years and years and years, and I was super relieved to see the professionals, we'll call them professionals, step in. Obviously, when I got involved in NORML, I was not experienced. I didn't know what lobbying is. I didn't know anything about running an organization. The executive director stepped down, and they were going to basically dissolve NORML.
Oh, wow.
So I stepped in at that time, and I was like, yeah, I'll do the best I can. And
Sure.
I've been there ever since. But I didn't have any knowledge or education on how to actually run the organization aside from the help and support from the board members. So even after doing that for years and years and years, I did learn a lot. I got involved in some of the programs with Minnesota Voice, who actually trained me on how to organize volunteers, how to, organize my board, how to do a lot of the stuff that I had no knowledge on. And we definitely got better. But to see the professionals that have, experience in the things that we're trying to do step in, it was like a shining light.
Sure.
I was super happy. So that's another reason I was kind of disappointed when they attacked me after the press release last year. I'm like, we put all our trust in you guys.
Yeah.
Like we took a step back. We gave you guys the rock, and you were going to take it to the goal. And then you crapped on us because we didn't, feel like you were expressing, the things that we cared about the way they needed to be expressed. So I think the important thing is going to be for us to kind of revamp and kind of look at what's going on right now with the legislature, look at what's going on with the bill and what changes are coming to the bill, and then try to counteract, what we can. And we'll have to come together as a community like we always do because,
So that was one of my questions. What do we need in the industry to ensure that Minnesotans are elevated, that they have social equity, that they have restorative justice? Like, what do we need to do? Just lobby the shit out of people?
We need to get people together. We need to rally them up, and we need to educate them. That's what we've been doing over the years. Educate. That's pretty much how we got here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Legal Marijuana Now Party.
I am.
That was a huge catalyst in the legalization movement in Minnesota. 2018, we were going to lose party status. So when I took over as executive director in 2016, I also became the chairman of Legal Marijuana Now. It was just a handful of us, and I ran both of those organizations together all the way through 2019. 2018, our party was going to lose the party. I'm not going to say our party because I don't feel like I'm aligned with any specific party. But the party was going to lose minor party status. So they asked me if I would run. I didn't really want to. They didn't have any candidates.
Under the Minnesota Legal
Marijuana Now
Marijuana Now Party. Okay.
And I was the chairman. So I was like, look, I feel it's my responsibility to do something. Otherwise, we're just going to lose party status. So I did run in 2018. No money. I actually had somebody break into my car, steal all my campaign literature. I don't know who steals campaign literature.
The ops.
Like of all the things you could steal out of my car, why would you steal a bin full of campaign literature?
Yeah, that sounds pointed.
and t-shirts because we had a parade the next day. So fortunately, I had a box of t-shirts in my house still, but ended up running for office, and with no money, no real support, I ended up getting 133,000 votes, and that's how we became a major political party status. We actually had to collect over 15,000 signatures in something like 12 days to get 7 candidates on the ballot. Like, it was historical. Ali was literally in McDonald's looking at the packs and piles of petitions in tears. Like, it almost had me in tears. I had to walk away for a second.
So awesome.
It was a huge moment. It was historical for us.
Yeah.
We did end up getting major party status. Reg Chapman brought me on the news and was like, well, you didn't win, but you got major party status. So you did kind of, and it was awesome. It was a great feeling. Following that, 6 bills, literally 6 different bills to legalize marijuana came out the next year. back to back to back. Like everybody was scrambling. The DFL was scrambling to find ways to kind of get legalization to the forefront because they were a fear of these major political parties now.
Sure.
And then they had reason to be. Following that, the parties, after 2019, I stepped down from the Legal Marijuana Now Party because I felt like we achieved our goal. My only mission there was to fight hard enough for the legislators to take a serious look at the issue.
Sure.
Once the major parties picked up the issue, there was no more work for us to be done. We achieved our goal. So I stepped down in 2019 and just started focusing on educating voters, registering voters, getting people out to vote for legislators that were going to actually push the issue through. But those parties did get used in the elections. Like there were people running because they had the major party status. They didn't have to do the work that we had to do the following year, where we had to collect thousands and thousands of signatures. They just had to go down there, put their name on the ballot. I'm not going to say any specific party, but there were parties that were putting candidates on the ballot in districts where it was a close race intentionally to try to steal votes from one party or the other. And it was an issue. I'm not going to say that it did not affect the election. I can't say if it did, but it definitely was an issue. And it was kind of sad to see that happened. But yeah, it was...
They've got some struggles now.
Yeah, they did. And then, the DFL actually did start addressing the issue and taking cannabis seriously after that point. I've been in the space for a long time, and there were a few legislators that were like, oh, I support it. I think Rena Moran was the first legislator to actually stand up in the Capitol and say, hey, we need to look at legalization. She's now
She like a lobbyist?
No, she was a state representative.
Okay.
Rena Moran. Now she's it's not.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, it'll come to me. I forget the position she's in. She's the county something.
Like some type of a commissioner or something?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
County commissioner.
But like Winkler brought the bill forward the first time. It's 2016, I think, right?
2019.
Oh, 19. Okay.
Yeah, and that was right before the COVID pandemic and the George Floyd stuff.
Yep.
And that was a great time because he actually was one of the first legislators that actually was like, look, he was the House Majority Leader. And like I said, the following year after 2018, they were scrambling. They introduced so many different bills. He kind of was like, look, we got to kind of get this under control. This is a mess right now. Yep. So he kind of took the lead on it, invited community in, and got all of us involved in the process of creating a bill. He put together something called Be Heard on Cannabis, where he went around the state. He got feedback from different people around the state on what they would like to see in the bill, and they drafted a bill that looked like what the community wanted. That bill did change dramatically over the couple of years.
As they do.
Right. But he actually did follow through with that. But then when COVID came, he was like, look, because of the things that are happening right now and the stuff with George Floyd, we're not saying we're going to step off of the bill or that we're not going to address this, but we do have to, put it on the back burner for now, but we're going to bring this issue back up. And one thing that I got to say about Ryan Winkler is he was a man of his word. He followed through with it. The following year, he came back with the bill, and it actually passed in the House for the first time in history. A bill passed in the Minnesota State House. It didn't pass in the Senate because we didn't have the support in the Senate that year.
Right.
But he did follow through with everything he said. Kind of sad because like the same article interview that we just had up there, right after me on the news, he came on, was like, we're listening, but not everybody's going to get what they want. I'm like, oh, no, Ryan, not Ryan. But I guess,
I mean, it kind of goes like that in politics. You do always have to kind of make that reach across the aisle. But I feel like there are some things that you cannot waver on, one being restorative justice and social equity. And because, the people like yourself that supplied medicine to all of your friends and family when you were coming up, putting yourself at risk all those years,
But the people that got their doors kicked in, they got their children taken away, they went to jail and prison.
This is the industry that has laid out their backs so that the sexy corporate cannabis can come in and now, do all these great things with it.
Make billions of dollars.
Exactly. And so we cannot forget about the people that came before us. It's very important to honor the legacy market and to honor the activism that was done and all of the things, right? Like we cannot forget about that.
Yeah.
So,
And hopefully we get it right.
I do hope we get it right too.
Were you at any of the committee hearings
I've been watching them on TV.
Before the bill passed?
Last year,
Yeah.
I was at almost all of them, actually.
Every single person that got up there that talked about cannabis legalization, first thing they said, disproportionately impacted the people that were impacted the most. They said it over and over and over again. They brought up the statistics about the rates of how Black people are locked up, more likely to be locked up for cannabis use, something like 5% in certain districts. From the report that we have at NORML, in some spaces in Minnesota, those numbers were like 17 and 18 times more likely in greater Minnesota. And like they said it over and over and over again, every single committee hearing. Yep. But then once the bill passed, when I went up there and was like, hey, what's going on here? We said we was going to do this, right?
Right.
Yeah, it was kind of devastating for me a little bit. But, I'm still kind of hopeful that they're going to get it right, you know. So I did actually have an event, and I'm not sure if you're familiar with Marone.
Yeah, I know she was at your last event. Yeah,
that was pretty cool. So they are trying to stand up some of the social equity licenses. They're going to be doing some early licensing, hopefully over the summer.
Yep.
Who knows what that's going to look like,
Well, and I think their goal is to make sure that those people that do get the early licenses kind of get their business affairs in order, so that when it comes next year, they already have a license and they're ready to go, kind of as those dispo doors can open.
Yep.
So, but it's that lottery system.
Exactly. So like, we're going to give you a head start, but we're going to pick who gets the head start.
Exactly.
So it might be somebody that's social equity.
Well, and it's these MSOs that are coming in and like stacking the deck, right?
Yeah, but then in addition to that, the social equity that's in the bill, everybody has a different version of social equity.
Sure.
So the social equity that I see is not the same social equity that somebody else may see.
Yeah, that's funny that you said that. I'm gonna say one thing. I was at Earl Giles a couple weeks ago, and I was talking with another cannabis nurse, and she was talking about this great plan that she had and how she wanted to get a micro license. She's like, and I could get some of that social equity points, and I was like, what? I was like, you're a white woman. Like, the only point you really have is that you're a woman, that I can see, but in my mind, yes, that's not the default.
No, it's not.
So,
and then like, you could be, a white man that lives in South Minneapolis, probably called the police on us a couple times, that lives in Minneapolis. You got a nephew that got arrested for a joint, maybe sometime in history sometime. You have a wife, you got all of these social equity points. You live in a disproportionately impacted community. You've got a woman. You've got somebody that was affected by cannabis. Now, like I was saying in the interview, now you've got a shot at getting a license before I do.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like social equity. That doesn't sound like righting the wrongs of prohibition and giving back to the people that were negatively impacted.
Agreed.
By 5 to 10 times.
Exactly.
But
100% agree.
You got to think about the whole picture. I try to look at the whole picture. I don't try to focus on only myself and, what would affect me. But if we're going to talk about social equity and we're going to set up a program that's focused on giving back to those that were impacted, do that.
Right.
If you're not going to do that, then don't say it.
Don't placate to the voters and, give us lip service, like actually follow through.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of friends that are not social equity, that are also small businesses that I also would like to see succeed, so I don't want any type of head start or nothing like that.
Right.
We just want a level field. You know what I'm saying? That's all. A level field, then we all got a shot. Then whoever hustles harder wins.
Right.
But when you're starting out the race, like in the back of the race, like you're not even running yet, and they're already at the finish line.
Yeah. Agreed. I want to just step back a bit and talk about NORML. I'm going to just read off my cards and go over some statistics and what NORML is. NORML is the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. It was started in 1970 in Washington, D.C. by a man named Keith Stroop, and it has 135 chapters nationwide. Minnesota NORML's mission is to repeal prohibition laws so that responsible adult marijuana users no longer suffer criminal penalties. They promote a better understanding of the laws, civil liberties, medical, legal, environmental, civil rights, racial justice, reasons for appealing these prohibition era laws. It's nonpartisan, which I really love, and I'm glad that you mentioned. It's grassroots, right? So it's boots on the ground, which I also really love. I love organizing. I worked as an organizer with my professional union at one point, and I love that kind of work. But it's to educate voters about issues and the candidates who support responsible use, and then lobbying legislators for laws that respect responsible use and are making sure that people are no longer subject to criminal penalty. The last thing it promotes is leadership development. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
So the leadership development part is a program that I actually created myself.
Awesome.
It actually wasn't a part of what NORML does, but then through my journey with Minnesota Voice, they kind of educated me on leadership development, how to train volunteers, how to get in the community. And then I took a lot of that stuff and I brought it to NORML so I could actually train volunteers on, what it takes to actually lobby, how to lobby,
Yep.
how to organize a group of people, what it takes to do voter engagement as far as pledging votes, as far as phone banking, as far as getting out in the community. And it kind of just turned into a program where I created different chapters all around the state. I think we have maybe 7 or 8 chapters around the state, and then I put people in leadership development positions and put them in charge of those chapters around the state, and I kind of trained them on some of the educational stuff that I learned, and in exchange they went out and they recruited volunteers and they built their own teams, and then I created opportunities for them to vend. I bought merchandise and things for them and set up the program for them so they could do the same thing that I was doing at National Minnesota.
Okay. Here in the
Minnesota
Twin Cities.
NORML. Yeah. So we've got Minnesota, we've got St. Paul, we've got Carver County, we've got St. Cloud, we've got them all over the place. Unfortunately, we're short on volunteers because obviously volunteers only go so far. So that's where State Voices comes in, where I do a lot of the GOTV work, where we actually raise funds for the volunteers that we train over the year to get paid to do some of this work at the end of the year during November for the elections.
I love that. And we do. So if people are looking to get involved, please reach out to Minnesota NORML, because this is how laws get made. This is how we can bend the legislators to our will, or even just have an impact. I mean, they need to hear our voices, and it can't be one voice from one person all the time.
Yep.
That's the thing that I always tried to stress when I was doing organizing. It's people, you need to tell your story, and these legislators need to hear it, because then they're saying, well, I don't know, I never even knew about that. They can't say, when you're up there telling them, they can't say, well, I never knew about that. I didn't know that was a big deal. So you just have to kind of push it a little bit. I don't know, but I love what you're doing. I'm always bugging you about NORML. I'm like, what is NORML doing?
And it's funny you say tell your story, because that's another part of the leadership development part that we do, that we work on, is helping people develop their story and tell their stories, because that's what really changes legislators' minds and hearts. It's not all the letters, it's not, hey, you need to do this. It's when they hear from somebody that they can relate to. They may have a child or a family member that went through something that this person has went through, and when it touches at their heart, it causes them to act.
Absolutely. Ironically, Michael, that's how we destigmatize cannabis too. You just got to tell your story. And that's what I hope the podcast brings, is that everyone has their own story with cannabis. Everyone has their own relationship that they've developed with it. And here's these professional, highly functioning adults that are out here using cannabis on a daily basis that you maybe never even knew about use cannabis. And here they are. So, yeah.
And that's what it takes. It takes those professionals to come out of the closet.
It does.
In fact, we have seen a lot more professionals come out of the cannabis closet.
Yeah.
And I kind of really enjoy, I always keep referring to Cannafativa in the health and wellness space, but it's a great way to see people transition into the cannabis space, because they use the different CBD products for muscle pain, joints, aches, tinctures, salves, and all of that stuff to help out with any type of recovery or inflammation or swelling. I've got quite a few friends that are into like powerlifting, bodybuilding and stuff, and they swear by it. You know, they're like,
Absolutely.
yeah, I need it. I can't do it without it. But if we can get more of those to actually come out, you know.
For sure.
Well, actually, weed is legal now. So
Yeah.
I guess it's a little safer to come out of the closet depending on what your job is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for me, it's a little tough still. Like
Right.
I admit to my cannabis use, of course, and but I have yet to consume on camera. Like I'm still nervous to do that, you know?
I used to consume on camera a little bit, but then I kind of dialed it back. I feel like, you know, it's kind of tacky.
Yeah, I don't know. It just, to me, it just feels a little trepidatious. Like,
Yeah.
oh, we have a video of you smoking weed.
Like, it's like, come on, it's Michael. We know you smoke weed.
Yeah.
We know you. Right.
So as a dad, how do you talk to your kids about cannabis?
Ooh. Well, my kids, for instance, grew up in the movement.
Okay.
Jeremiah's 13. So, you know, I've been in space for 10 years. So my older kids are adults now.
Yeah.
And they've also watched me in the movement and they've seen all of the things that we've done over the years. But my younger kids, they've been experiencing it firsthand. So they've been at the Capitol with me. They've marched. I've got pictures of them marching in parades. So they understand, you know, cannabis and the illegality of it and all the problems with it. They understand not to use it as well. So
it's all about responsible adult use.
Older kids, it's a little different.
Yeah.
But the younger ones, you know, they really understand it. Especially my son Jeremiah, once it became legal, you know, he was bragging about it at school and talking about it with the teachers and going over, well, we can have this many plants legally. And, you know, it's kind of cool because he, you know, he's in middle school.
Yeah.
Not quite high school yet, but I mean, just all the things that he's learned just from being around me and, you know, being in the space.
That's cool. I love that. Thank you for doing that work because I think back to another gal that I know that's a cannabis nurse, and her son did a presentation and talks about like each part of his family and like what they're interested in. And his mom was like a cannabis leaf and a mushroom because she helps people with psilocybins and cannabis. So it's just really cute. And I think this is another way that we can break the stigma down. So, you know.
And then you got to think, once it's legal and the more the kids see it, it takes away the thrill factor.
Yeah.
You know, when it's something that's, it's, you know, they want to use it. They're going to sneak around. They're going to use it. Like my son, he doesn't care to use it. He's just like, yeah, it's nothing. It's my dad's job.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
and I always liken it back to medicine. It's a person's medicine, you know, so, but that's just my cannabis nurse take on it. So
do you guys feel, you guys both have older kids, do you feel like they still come back from school with those, you know, where the kids parrot back what teachers say? You know, like with my kids, I'll get crucified on energy use and littering, right? Because they hear it at school. Like, Dad, if you leave the light switch on, you're killing the polar bears. And you guys just made me think of this with marijuana. I mean, is that something you still hear, I guess? Do you feel like it's stigmatized in school still?
No, I don't really think so. Actually, I remember when I was running for office, I got a lot of phone calls from high school students that were doing mock elections. Talking about cannabis and asking about cannabis and stuff. My kids at home, you know, it's normal to them. It's not anything that's, you know, different. And I haven't heard anything negative come from school yet.
Yeah.
So hopefully it stays that way, you know.
Yeah.
Molly, same for you, like Cannabis Nurse? They don't come home and say...
you know, my kids are older.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I remember is like when my husband and I were going through therapy, my husband was an everyday cannabis user. And I was always like, I have to be straight laced. I'm a nurse. Like I can't use, the kids might have to go to the emergency room, you know, like all the things. Right. And so I was just an occasional user. But the therapist was like, oh my God, those kids one day are going to smell marijuana out in the community somewhere and they're going to know what it is. And I was like, they already know what it is. Lady. Like, he doesn't hide it. Excuse me. You know, like he doesn't hide it. So
it's funny you say that. Just this past weekend, for Easter, I was at my sister's house and my son gave my brother a hug. And then my brother came out and he was like, your son said I smell just like your dad, like his dad. Like, what does that mean? Because I just recently stopped smoking. Well, actually, this is the second time I stopped smoking.
Okay.
So when my son was born, it was kind of a complicated pregnancy, and after the baby actually came, I took a breath and was like, oh, finally it's over.
Yeah.
Went out to the car to get the car seat, man, took a celebratory puff on a vape that I had. By the time I got back upstairs, I was all paranoid because I hadn't smoked for 3 days while I was at the hospital.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can't do this again. And my baby was super small. He was like 5 pounds, something ounces. So he was super tiny. And then at that point I quit, just until I, could get myself together and kind of like you were saying, well, I'm a nurse. I got to be like this. And what if the kids, when I went to look at my son, I was like, I can't pick him up like this. I'm nervous. He's so small. What if I was just all over the place. And it took me, I want to say about 2 weeks before I started smoking again to kind of get used to having, a baby again.
Yeah,
That's crazy. And after I kind of got used to it, it kind of went away. But that I had that kind of paranoia in my head. Like, what if he needs something? What if he's this? What if he's this? What if I got to take him to the doctor? What if he, and it was kind of a panic at first.
Yeah.
I
think one of my friends said to me the other day that she takes regular tea breaks because she says she feels like she learns just as much through her tolerance breaks as she does through her cannabis use. And I think that's something everyone should consider every once in a while. Like, be uncomfortable.
Yeah. We'll see how long it lasts. I'm trying to do these 20 days.
Right. Which always lends back to really cannabis being a medicine, I feel like.
Yeah, it really is.
Your body needs it. We make our own endocannabinoids, but we also get phytocannabinoids from the plant that we need. And we might have a deficit of cannabinoids that we actually really need. So, yeah.
That's a good analysis. Sometimes cannabis can help with some cancer stuff.
Absolutely.
So what if the issue is that you didn't have the cannabis in the first place? Maybe it's the reason that you're getting the cancer.
Hello.
I'm not a scientist. I don't know anything. And then even in the food that we eat, you got to think if we were feeding our animals hemp and stuff, and the cows were eating hemp and stuff in the field, and now they're not eating that anymore.
Right.
Now there's cannabinoids that we're not getting in food and that we're not getting naturally. So,
and they're all like hormone injected, right? And they're fed all this like high fat, high calorie hormone disruptors. And so that all kind of plays a part too. I mean, our diets are a huge part of how effective our cannabis is in our body, how it works with our body. So, big issue there for sure. Any final thoughts, Michael?
I don't have any final thoughts.
What do you want people to know about cannabis? What's the main... Actually, you know what? Before we wrap it up, I want to talk just briefly about Minnesota marijuana because I'm so excited for the event that you're doing on 420. I am so going to be there. I cannot wait. I love going to your parties. It's always a good vibe, like I said. So tell us more about what's happening.
So Minnesota marijuana is a community. I kind of put it together just for a safe space for people to come together. When I transitioned into the legal market, I created that space for a lot of my friends so they could kind of get to know each other that didn't know each other, so they could supply medicine for each other. And it just kind of grew from that point and just got humongous. I think the community is like I said, on Twitter, we're 28,000. On our Facebook page, we're about 15,000. On our Facebook group, about 19,000. Instagram, about 10,000. So it's a pretty big.
Incredible, yes.
Yeah,
great job.
Across all platforms. But it's a community. It's not a business or anything.
Right.
It's a safe space for people to come together and meet other cannabis users. We put on events so people can actually come out and see each other and know that they're going to be in a space in the area where they're going to be able to chill and hang out. Just from a reputation over the years, people kind of get that feeling. 420, we're doing a music festival. So we're going to have some music going. We've got DJ AO, DJ North Star, DJ D-Mill, DJ Stage One. We're all different DJs that have been in the space for a long time. I think we've got about 40 or so different businesses, brands that are coming out. Native Care, which is the dispensary on Red Lake, is a sponsor. They're going to be there. Superior Cannabis, those are my guys. They
Yes.
always show up. Cultivated CBD is also a sponsor.
Anthony, awesome.
Happy Duck. Anthony's actually on our board of directors
Yes,
as well. And
I know.
he's been a huge advocate in the cannabis space.
Yes.
So Cultivated is definitely a dope brand.
Absolutely.
I got to see those guys start out.
I've got it up on the screen too, guys. If you want to, if there's anything you
Thank
want to
you.
guide people to or whatever.
Yeah, so it'd be just the music festival. There's not much there besides going buy a ticket, but yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty. Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty dope event. I'm hoping it'll be something like Loud on Lake Street.
They always are. I feel like
Yeah.
all of your parties are so incredible. And what I really love too is that you invite people into these spaces where, like, if they have a brand new business or a burgeoning business, like, they have an opportunity to get into a place where they can really showcase that to people and show people what they're doing.
And that's kind of like when we were talking before the show about advertising and how the city pages isn't around anymore, how our business is actually getting their marketing out there. And that's one of the huge things for like these new businesses to get their products and to get their businesses out to
Exactly.
the community. Because like I keep a list of emails and contacts. So I think we're around 18,000. But you got to think, all of these people are all cannabis users.
Right.
It's the largest network of specifically cannabis, users,
Wow, yeah.
activists, and all of that stuff. So when these businesses are brand new and they're starting out, obviously they can't use social media.
Right.
Social media is going to shut it down. Minnesota marijuana page got flagged almost immediately after I started in the beginning. I can't use any type of Google ads. I can't do any type of posting. Like, it gets flagged. So if you're a brand new business, fortunately mine's organic. I've been doing it for a decade.
Yep.
But if you're a brand new business and you're just trying to get into the cannabis space, it's almost going to be impossible to kind of build your network up without, buying followers or fake stuff.
Right.
It's like social media just will not allow you to grow the way
Right.
that you would because of the cannabis, and because of the illegality nationally. So even though it's legal in Minnesota, the likelihood of a post getting flagged on, say, Facebook is almost 100%.
Right.
You're going to get your page flagged. So it's kind of hard to kind of build your business up. So when we create these events in these spaces where we're bringing out, like Loud on the River, that's about 300 people because that's the maximum capacity. Loud on Lake Street, we did about 5,000 last year. People came out to the event.
Okay.
Hopefully 420. I'm hoping to bring, at least a couple thousand people out to come hang out. But there's not really any big opportunities for people to meet people specifically in the cannabis space.
Sure.
Other than that, I know there are the Legacy Glass one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
That's a good event. And then like the Canna Connect
Yep.
is also putting on events
The
as well.
thing they're doing things, and like Lucky Leaf will be at the end of this month, and that's more like business to business. But the thing about those types of events is that it's not cannabis friendly. I mean, you can drink all the drinks you want, but you can't smoke.
Yeah.
You gotta go outside or whatever. So
it's CBD, and it's mainly industry people,
yeah,
and that kind of sucks. Like even with our event, we've only got like the few industry people that I named on there. We've been in this space for a decade,
Yeah.
and we only got 4 industry people willing to come support the event. But when the industry puts on an event, all the industry people show up. And that's basically a reflection of the cannabis in Minnesota. You think about our events, if you come to my events, a majority of the businesses are social equity people.
yes, they are.
Almost all.
Yep.
People that were impacted, people that are not big businesses, that don't have, big companies and stuff. And I think that's what's great about it. These other spaces, they've got, big corporate businesses. They make a lot of money. They put on big events.
Yep.
But a majority of the people aren't us.
Yeah. And that's one of the goals of the podcast too. And I'm really glad that we were able to have you on today, because I really want this podcast to give voice to those people. I want to showcase that there's other people out here that are trying to really get their business up and running. And it's not just these big, sexy, like you said, corporations and people with big marketing budgets and, branding, all this branding and all this stuff. I mean, there's just regular old people that have been here since day one.
Regular old people. I like
You know?
that. Yeah.
So yeah, that's always what I've really appreciated about your events, and I just always felt like accepted. I didn't have to put on any kind of airs or anything. I could just show up as who I was, and I could consume the cannabis the way I wanted to, and nobody was gonna say shit.
No, you just smoke it and just hang out.
Smoke or do an edible or whatever it is, like no one cares. No one cares what you're doing. It's just like come and have fun and let's, have a good time. And I like that there's other types of businesses too. So you'll have like people like doing clothes, or you'll have, food, or, it's cannabis friendly. I heard a woman a couple weeks ago at a meeting I was at say, whatever you're doing, you just need to invite cannabis into that space. Whatever you're doing it well, it's going well. Now make it cannabis friendly and just invite cannabis in.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the blueprint,
It is.
So.
And the problem I do see is that a lot of the businesses, they're more worried about getting a license.
Yeah.
They're so concerned about getting a license that they're not willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
But the risk is what got us here in the first place.
Right.
And even with Pot Shots, that's a great spot. And originally when I started there, the only reason I went there because it was a space where I could bring, these social equity people that, are trying to start businesses. But then as I was unable to bring them, I started to lose interest in being in that space. Like if the people that I'm bringing aren't welcome in the space, then the space isn't for me anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's the whole idea is when I come somewhere, I bring all of these people with me to create that opportunity. I don't need the opportunity myself. I could just make it. But the opportunity for others is what kind of charges me, that I can actually create spaces for other people to do things.
Beautiful.
So,
I appreciate that so much. Yeah. So the takeaway, I think, from all of this is support small businesses.
Please. Support nothing.
Please.
The micro, miney.
Yeah. Go out
businesses.
to events. Spend your coin in the community for the people that really matters, that people that are trying to pay their water bill that week and,
buy a
feed their
t-shirt.
kids. And and don't ask for a discount. Pay full price.
Right.
The barter system's great and everything, but support people.
Yeah, if you have the ability to.
Yeah.
Some people might not have the ability. I know that's kind of what the free shirts I used to do in the past. Some people couldn't afford it, but then people take advantage too.
Well, you can always just share someone's information too,
That's
and
easy.
that's the
It's free.
super easiest thing. You can give a review if they have a website, if they're, savvy enough to have their website up and running, leave a review for them, those things are easy and simple things you can do.
Definitely.
So, yeah. Okay. Any final thoughts then?
No final thoughts.
Okay.
I think you got it all. Thanks for having me, Molly.
Oh my
This
gosh.
is great.
This is incredible. I feel like you are really a cornerstone of this industry. And I honestly, Michael, I was so honored to have you on today and to be able to have a conversation and just share energy with you. I appreciate your time.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks,
All right,
Molly.
Thank you. So everyone, please share, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check us out. Conversations with Kush podcast. Have a great night.